get the action started.
Well, lucky for you then, Alex, because we can head down to the table for our asymmetrical Top Cut feature match here, where we have Pedro Tua versus Cameron Shenoy. And this is going to be a very fun matchup because we've got some fun decks lined up here. And, you know, both of these players have terrific resumes there. For Cameron, you know, Johannesburg Special Championship, top 8, New Orleans, top 32 last year, Melbourne, OC, IC, top 16. And then got a top 32 there in Yokohama as well. But then sitting across the table from him, Pedro, he's going to be doing his best to try and get the win here as well. Top 32 in Porto Alegre, top 16 in Sao Paulo, top 8 at Rio de Janeiro, and then a top 16 at Fortaleza as well.
Yeah, some really impressive results from both of our players. And you start to get to see the actual decks that we're going to be showcasing right here for this asymmetrical Top Cut. I don't believe we've yet to see Zoroark. Everyone's sort of written it off because of the release of Destined Rivals.
Yep.
And that's Shaman that's come into play now. But Cameron here piloting this deck, a unique one to take into this particular format. It was gaining some traction before, but now he's found himself in a top 16 spot here in this asymmetrical cut, potentially going even further.
Yeah, you know, there's no reason why he can't. You know, Zoroark, you know, one of the older trainers, Pokemon, owners Pokemon, I should say, but, you know, draws a lot of cards, has fantastic attacking options. Clearly, as Cameron has found himself here, but it looks like our players have just flipped the coin to decide who's going first. We'll get down there soon. Just shuffling up. Looks like we might have seen some mulligans, actually. But what do you think is going through our players' heads right now, Alex, as they're shuffling up here for this game?
I mean, it's going to be intense. There's going to be all things going through their minds right now, just because, I mean, they're going to be ecstatic that they've made it here to this asymmetrical Top Cut, right? They're in top 16, but they're only one match away from a top 8 spot, and that really is where, you know, it starts to really come to the point where these players are actually so close. I mean, they're already close enough, like we've already mentioned, 4 matches away from becoming an international champion.
Now, you know, thousands of dollars here on the line, depending if you was to win or lose. But it looks like both players are just looking composed, taking a deep breath. At the end of the day, you just have to play each round as and when it comes. It doesn't matter if you're on the stage, doesn't matter if you're on the tables, you have to just get involved. But it looks like our prize cards that are being laid out for Cameron has prize the Technical Machines Evolution and Zoroark and the Rigid Band. That's interesting. And then over to Pedro. Oh, wait a minute. Has prized the 1 copy of Ends Darmanitan for Cameron. That won't be available to him for the rest of this game until it's taken. And then for Pedro, a Dreepy, a Dracloak, a Dragapult, and then 2 copies of Buddy Puffin.
Yeah, actually, one of those key things that we started to see when I was looking through some of the deck lists that were being piloted by these Ends Toolbox type decks, a lot of people started to reduce the number of Darmanitan or cut it out completely from their deck list because of that threat of Shaman and that Flower Curtain ability stopping the bench being attacked. But, you know, that's definitely one to keep an eye out on, whether Pedro right now can sort of have to handle the potential Darmanitan coming down at some point. But here we go.
And it looks like we are getting started here in our asymmetrical Top Cut round at the North American International Championships. And it looks like Cameron is kicking us off here, opening up with the Buddy Puffin, and you grab any 2 Pokemon with 70 hit points or less and pop them straight onto your bench. Now, as Cameron is going to do this deck search, working out what's prized, let's take a little run through his deck that ends Zoroark archetype. It is built around Ends. Zoroark has that fantastic ability trade. Then you discard 1 card from your hand to draw 2. So if you have 3 Ends Zoroark out, you can see an extra 6 cards a turn. And its attack Night Joker for 2 Dark Energy lets you use any one of your Ends Pokemon's attacks as this attack. So as you can imagine, if you have a whole suite, a whole smorgasbord of Ends Pokemon in, you can do some fantastic attacks like Powerful Rage from the Ends Reshiram. There's 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Virtuous Flame for a crisp 170. And there is obviously also the Ends Darmanitan. Now remember, that's currently priced for Cam 1. Does only play 1 copy. However, Flame Body Cannon, discard all energy from this Pokemon. You do 90 damage to the active and then 90 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon as well. And don't sleep on Backdraft, 30 for each basic energy card in your opponent's discard pile. That can add up fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those decks which, I mean, we've seen how powerful that ability trade has been in previous years. We've seen how powerful that type of ability has been so powerful in Gardevoir EX when Curly has had refinements. You know, we've even seen N's Zoroark EX in Gardevoir itself because of that ability. So it's such a strong ability right now in this game. Just to see more cards and get so many more options, and then that Night Joker ability, attack, I should say, is something that really allows you to kind of stretch utilizing different attackers, especially when you got things like N's PP up, which allows you to accelerate energy onto the board as well. As we do see the N Zoroark now both hit the field from that Buddy Poppin, has that free retreat, Baby Cleffer in the active spot as well. I mean, it's just started in, we're pretty perfect hand at the moment. We do have so many things going with Ns. When you have different trainer Pokemon, trainer supporters, trainer sort of item cards, you get all of this synergy that you get across the actual deck. As we just saw, you know, there's potential for N's Castle giving you some real free retreat ability as well.
And it looks like we're going to see a turn attachment to a bench N's Zoroark. The N's Reshiram is going to come down. Now it is the pass over to Pedro. He's going to start his turn off there with the Nest Ball, and he's playing that Dragapult Charizard EX archetype. Alex, when you take us through that one.
Yeah, absolutely. You're combining two of the most powerful stage 2s in the format. Dragapult EX has been dominating for so long now. One of the best attacks in the game, Phantom Dive, 200 to the active, 60 damage counters to be spread across your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. To get to that Dragapult, you have those Dreepies, you have those Dracloaks, you've got Recon Directive, you have pre-built-in draw power in your Pokemon line, allowing you to just look at the top 2 cards, take one and put one to the bottom of the deck. Now, when you supplement that with a Charizard EX, you know, it's already a self-sufficient attacker with Infernal Rain and that Burning Darkness attack, which allows you to do 180 damage. But as you go through and progress through the game where your opponent takes more prizes, you are really ramping up and really starting to just brute force your way through multiple Pokemon here. As Pedro does get a chance to play that Nest Ball, does have that Dreepy currently on the board state as well. He's going to be utilizing different cards like these Monkey Dories with those Luminous Energies as well, utilizing that Adrenabrain ability we've spoken about so often across this weekend so far, and we're sure we're going to see more of it, but it's just going to be so important. As also targeting that Budew as well to try and slow that game down that little bit further.
Yeah, that Budew for 0 energy, letting you use the attack. Itchy Pollen does 10 damage and stops your opponent from playing any item cards next turn. A devastating attack, as we do see the attach energy and retreat to get Budew inactive. And there is the Itchy Pollen. I hope everyone's taking their antihistamines here in the New Orleans, because the pollen count is looking rather high. Is over to Cameron now. Is going to start the turn off there with the Serrano support. And not what we see all the time, but it's fantastic in the N's Zoroark deck. Then you grab any 3 Pokemon EX and put them straight into your hand. So when you're trying to get as many N Zoroark in play, then that's a fantastic way of doing it and works really well against Itchy Pollen. Since you can't play any item cards like Ultra Ball or anything like this, Serrano just says, well, I'm a supporter here, have 2 N Zoroark and a Blood Moon Ursaluna as well.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that we've seen inclusion because of that active Pokemon on his opponent's side of the board. Budew stopping all of those items, meaning you're having to rely on alternatives to get to your EX Pokemon. As we see the first trade ability of this asymmetrical top cut, discarding that Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, not as useful in this scenario. We see the second now, discarding a second Serrano, as we do get a further 2 cards. I was going to say, after the Itchy Pollen, I mean, that Cleffer is actually holding many plants and many little like things anyway. It doesn't have to worry about the sort of its antihistamines and such, as we do get the second Dark Energy attachment, a free retreat from the Cleffers. N Zoroark EX in the active spot. Knockouts on the Budew. First knockout of this asymmetrical top cut. Cameron taking the first prize.
Doing it with that awesome attack, Virtuous Flame, but we are going to see a quick counter catcher into the other N's Zoroark, and then a swift Professor Research there from Pedro. 7 new cards, and it was the N-Star Manatan that was taken out of the prize cards. So if Cameron's hand stays the way it is, we'll be able to get that into play. And it is worth noting that Pedro does not play a copy of Shaman, so we'll be able to use that Flame Body Cannon for full effect.
Yeah, so right now, with the support already played, the only way to kind of disrupt Cameron's hand will be that unfair stamp, unfair by name, unfair by nature. One of our favorite quotes from a fellow colleague of ours, of course. But that does begin setting up the board with further Dreepies and a Charmander as well. We do need to start getting to those Dracloaks as soon as possible. Maybe the Badoo there, not really doing enough to slow Cameron's game plan down. Does have the unfair stamp in hand, so can consider deliberating playing it now. But of course, Cameron's got that own pre-built-in draw power with that trade ability. So it's one of those really awkward scenarios. It's just whether Pedro can continue wanting to continue bursting through, looking for maybe like the Dracloaks.
And it looks like he's going to play that unfair stamp, that powerful one-off A-Spec card. The A-Specs are very strong by nature, but they're balancing factors. You can only play one of them. Pedro's opted to play unfair stamp. You can only use this card if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, which Badoo was. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck. You get to draw 5 if you played it. Happy days. If your opponent, however, they only get to draw 2. But as you did rightfully say, Alex, when you have 2 Zoroark in play, you can immediately turn those 2 cards and see a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see the 2. You'll get 1 from your turn's draw as well. And then you'll be discarding 1 card to draw 2 every single time. You do see a net sort of 7 cards, as it were, from that scenario. As we do get a Dracloak live now, Recon Directive, deciding between that Luminous Energy and a Charmeleon there to maybe get that little bit closer. Is holding a rare candy in hand from that unfair stamp. So maybe just thinking, well, is there another way I can potentially get into attacker at some stage here? Does look like it's taken the Luminous Energy, just making sure that that's such a key component there. And it's a pass over. It's over to Cameron. How do you piece together this turn here? Always hit the stadium, ends castle. Free retreat on the active Zoroark when he needs it. It's just going to start maybe trading through as well. Boss's orders also in hand. Could maybe even target down something like the Dracloak or the Energy. Rigid Band first, going to the discard pile.
So if he can somehow draw into the Darmanitan again, we'd have to shuffle the deck or find an Ultra Ball or anything like this. Would be able to actually KO both the Dracloak and the Dreep. We have to shuffle the deck though, since it was put straight back to the bottom.
No, it was from unfair stamp. It was shuffled around. Remember, you got put down to 2. You shuffle your hand into your deck. You don't have to worry. Usually it is those Ionos. You're right. It's one of those things a lot of our players do have to keep an eye out for, as another Zoroark has hit the field now. Both trades utilized. Ends Castle played, free retreat.
And there looks like that's a fantastic play. Going to get the 2 energy Zoroark straight back in the active. There's the boss's orders. Going to bring up that Dracloak. Virtuous Flame for a second KO for Cameron. Pedro, 2 prize cards down already in 2 turns. What can Pedro do? Does have the rare candy in hand though, right?
Yeah,
Still does have, and a Charizard EX Burning Darkness does hit harder for each prize card your opponent has taken.
The only scary thing is when you're facing up against a deck like Zoroark, which you're not dealing enough damage when you're a Dragapult, and at the moment you're not quite dealing enough as a Charizard. You're going to be sort of within range of a powerful Rage from that Ends Reshiram because of that Night Joker attack, where you get to copy a bench Ends Pokemon's attack there. As we do see the rare candy, we are seeing the first Infernal Rain here of this asymmetrical top cut. We're going to be self-sufficient, powering up our attackers. We'll have Burning Darkness live, and we can also attach 1 fire to the Dreepy if we choose to do so as well, just to make sure we can get that powered up, ready to go at some stage. Pedro just deliberating whether that's the decision. Does confirm, gets the 3rd energy attachment from that Infernal Rain now. Burning Darkness currently dealing 180 plus 60 damage because of the 2 prizes Cameron has so far taken.
And that basically says, don't you dare attack into an Zoroark if you're not dealing at 280, because that powerful Rage would do that damage straight back ×2, and that would be a swift, easy KO. So we are going to see an Arven being played here for a Technical Machine Evolution and an Ultra Ball. Looks like the Ultra Ball could be getting played here at the same time as well. Going to discard that Technical Machine Evolution and a Luminous Energy. And this could be finding a Dracloak. And then we can start using some Recon Directive.
Yeah, got to get that ability back live because that's ever so important. Do remind ourselves that the Dracloak does only have 90 HP. So it's still a bit of a scary one to kind of have waiting in the wings there, especially if Cameron's able to find that Ends Darmanitan and start utilizing that Flame Body Cannon at some point as well. As we do see a Recon Directive, could be an important pickup here just to try and get that board built up. Easy choice, it looked like. Looked like an Iono went to hand. We do have a rescue board for the active. Just got to make sure we don't play into Cameron's hands here.
Yeah, this is looking quite scary. We are going to see the free retreat thanks to the skateboard rescue board. We are going to see a burning. Oh, we're going to see a counter catcher into the ends. Darumaka. That's a smart heads-up play. That's going to remove the flame body cannon threat, and you don't play into a powerful rage threat there as Pedro takes his first prize card. Ends Darumaka sent straight to the discard pile. And here is the sort of limitation to the end Zoroark deck, is if you're trying to access the bench, if you haven't got a Darumaka in play, flame body cannon is no longer an option. So you kind of, what's the word, handicapped here of what you can use to attack.
I mean, again, you got to just be thinking, I can deal plenty of damage with that Virtuous Flame. 170 does trade into a Defiance Band, which isn't live because you are ahead on prizes. Currently, second trade here, discarding. It looks like the second Buddy pop in. Let's have a little look at those two cards. Are they useful? So, the Night Stretcher is always very handy. Can get back that one-off Darumaka, I should say. But is that space better utilized for something like the Pheasantipity? Probably not yet. I mean, you got trade and abilities ready to go to keep seeing more cards. You've only sort of taken 2 prizes. Any ends doesn't hurt too bad yet. Maybe that Darumaka is probably the better card to have back. Or maybe going for another End Zoroark EX to just keep trading through.
Well, it does have the Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking in hand. So Cypher Maniac Code Breaking let you put any 2 cards you like to the top of your deck. And then with trade, you can basically access them straight away. So I wonder what you could manufacture, what sort of turn. Obviously, Cypher Maniac is a supporter, so you can't double up on supporters this turn. But that could be what Cameron's looking to eye up, as we do see the Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking getting played. So Cameron can put any 2 cards he likes to the top of his deck. And the beauty of this in combination with trade is, what Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking should say is put any 2 cards you like from your deck into your hand and discard 1 card from your hand to do so.
Yeah, such a powerful type of card. We've seen many of them in previous years as well under different monikers and names, as it looks like here. Just eyeing up a few different pieces. It looked like there was a Professor Churros that was also being considered for a future turn as well, especially if you're going to be smacked by a Charizard EX, not for a knockout as well, but eyeing up an Ends PP up. I mean, so many options here that are so useful. As any 2 cards, remember, as mentioned, you'd shuffle the rest of the deck. Those 2 cards go to the top, and if you can trade a card away from hand, those 2 you've just selected to go to the top will fall into your hand and perfectly ready to combo for however you want to play out your turn.
I wouldn't mind the Ends PP up here. Try and get extra energy into play, because if your Ends Zoroark goes down for whatever reason, you will be stuck twiddling your thumbs. But there is the trade. So we're going to grab those 2 cards. I think one of them was the secret box, I believe. There's the trade. Going to discard that Ends Zoroark. Let's have a gander. Secret box, energy switch. And we're going to see the turn attachment as well.
Yeah, just having the secret box ready for a future turn. Cleffa retreating into that End Zoroark EX, which has been powered up already. Will now be able to utilize Night Joker and a Virtuous Flame once again. 170 damage to this active Charizard EX. 160 HP remaining here. And now it's back over to Pedro. It's a very annoying turn to deal with, of course, as we do get an Iono now to reshuffle back. Well, not shuffle back, I should say, to shuffle your hand to the bottom of the deck.
Yep, so that secret box there for Cameron has been sent to the bottom. We'll have to shuffle the deck somehow to get access to it. Pedro will now get 5 cards. Cameron will get 4. When via trade, we'll be able to draw up. Pedro is going to use Recon Directive now. Look at top 2, put 1 in your hand. Oh, Luminous and then a Dracloak. With Dracloak going to get sent to the bottom. Luminous energy put into the hand. Maybe we start to develop the Monkey Dory Adrenabrain threat that would actually move the Charizard EX out of range of a second Virtuous Flame. We do see Dragapult EX getting involved as well.
But again, you don't necessarily want to smack into it too hard, because then it will just instantly return KO with that powerful Rage attack. But maybe there's not really many other options, as the 30 damage is placed onto the bench End Zoroark EX from Adrenabrain now. So Charizard down, or back up, I should say, to 140 damage on itself. So back to 190 HP. And now it's just that awkward decision here. Looks like it's going to be a Burning Darkness, 240 damage to this End Zoroark EX in the active spot. It's going to come straight back at you, which is one of the only scary things here. Cameron is on you here.
24.
Oh yeah, just confirming that the amount of damage that's been done. There you go. We have rectified 240 damage on the active. 4 times 6 on the dice.
Reversal energy in the hand. That's very interesting. So can't use that now, but that's a fantastic card to use with the flame body cannon ends end Darmanitan attack, I should say. But here we are going to see a trade. What are we discarding? There is that reversal energy. Going to draw 2. 1, 2. Monkey Dory. Do we have an energy? It'd be really nice if you could maneuver that 3 damage off that end Zoroark EX. Just get that back out of the way. With that Adrenabrain ability. We'll see another use of trade now.
Yeah, just a few sort of unique cards. I mean, the Iono here is probably maybe the least useful at the moment. I mean, there are things like maybe I think there was a counter catcher there. We do see the trade Iono discarded here. Another 2 cards we get to see. Look like a second Monkey Dory and then ends PP up here. I mean, did have access to that energy switch before. Has 1 more trade, of course. Let's see what further card. Looks like Monkey Dory being eyed up here as a second or third discard, I should say. Another 2. There's only 1 bench space available, so discarding the Monkey Dory probably seems right for now.
Ends Reshiram and Iono being taken.
Powerful Rage currently dealing 20 times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. So 240 times 20 will be a lot of damage and more than enough, but maybe just saying this is enough to just do it. Professor Churro scenario, protecting the healing, the Zoroark there, nullifying that whole turn from Pedro, that Charizard's 240 damage that it has dealt, now meaning it's just been completely erased.
And there, so you can remove all that damage and you end PP up onto the bench, end Zoroark, and you got the ends castle to free retreat into the one that has the energy, and you can still use Monkey Dory to Adrenabrain off that 30 damage as well, putting you outside of range of any silly shenanigans. There is the Monkey Dory of the Adrenabrain. This is an absolute monstrous turn, make no mistake about it. Moving that 3 damage off. There's the free retreat with the ends castle. Here we are going to see a big hefty KO here from that Knight Joker plus Virtuous Flame combination. There it is, Virtuous Flame KO. Cameron has 2 prize cards left. 1 KO away from winning this game. Over to you, Pedro. How do you respond?
Yeah, no damage counters. Well, other than that little one on a little Cleffa after that Badoo's Itchy Pollen early on in the game. But Cameron demonstrating right now just how powerful and strong this archetype actually truly is. And it doesn't even need to use the ends Darmanitan or Darumaka to kind of get into the Darmanitan right now. Just utilizing that Virtuous Flame, having access to powerful Rage when he may need to do so. Also just showcasing exactly why, when you're not dealing enough damage to one-hit KO my end Zoroark EX, you're in a lot of trouble.
But here we are going to see, it's actually going to be quite hard for Cameron to take these next 2 prize cards. You know, the end Zoroark archetype, without the doubt Darmanitan in play, is capped at doing 170 damage. There is no 2 prize 170 damage yet. So Pedro can you start using Phantom Dive, start spreading some damage counters around, and definitely still get back in this game.
I mean, Phantom Dive, you just don't want to be doing it on the end Zoroark. Remember, that powerful Rage is just waiting. They just got to be careful. Maybe this is why we're going down this angle of potentially utilizing a Mind Bend attack here. But, you know, still quite a few more things that Pedro can still do. Going through the deck, checking for what else could be accessed with that Arvens for the moment at least. But Mind Bend seems to be the direction here, because then that means you won't be necessarily in big range of a horrible, powerful Rage attack onto a 2-prizer for the moment. Looks like it's just an Ultra Ball being picked up here from the Arven. Not too sure what target could still be there as Pedro does shuffle up. Just kind of double checking. I mean, there's no more Charmanders here. You know, those Charizard EXs would finally start hitting really relevant damage. Mind Bend being announced. Going to be confusing. That end Zoroark EX is going to be back on Cameron to try and navigate through this, but has access to End's Castle already. That's still been on the field.
Yeah, so that confusion, in case you don't know, if a Pokemon is confused and you attempt to attack with it, you have to flip a coin first. If heads, your attack goes through. Love that. If it's tails, the attack actually fails and you hit yourself for 30 damage. Now, with the Ends Castle, you can free retreat out of it, because if a Pokemon in the Pokemon TCG hits hits your bench, all special conditions are removed. But then we actually haven't got any energy to attack yet. But we have seen a third Ends Zoroark hit the field. Looks like the Ends Darmanitan was discarded via a trade. And I'm just intrigued to see, do we have any ways of accelerating energy in hand? Doesn't look like it yet.
Not right now. We'll need access to something like the Ends PP up to be able to do so. Another trade there. Have we found anything? Doesn't quite look like it right now. A couple of counter catches which aren't live anymore. And generally, Cameron's always been ahead in this game so far.
We do see the Night Stretcher. That can also grab back one basic energy, but we do need a second. We saw the energy switch already. That would also work in this scenario.
One more trade, two further cards.
Ends PP up. Do we see that? Oh,
there it is.
My goodness, off the trade. So Night Stretcher can get you back one energy from the discard pile. Ends PP up can grab you back a second. You can free retreat out of the confusion thanks to Ends Castle. And then you can fire off your Virtuous Flame for the KO. Go down to one prize card.
Yeah, and right now, if you're able to take out that Monkey Dory, which seems very likely, maybe you start setting up something like that Pheasantipity to go down really easily by sending over with Adrenabrain, as we do see the Ends PP up there. I'm sure we're going to see the active find a way back to retreat, just hang in the background for the moment. But again, it's got a Night Stretcher, needs to be utilized to get an energy attachment, right?
Is there energy in the discard pile, actually? One? Maybe there's only one energy in the discard pile, so Night Stretcher might not be live. So we are going to see the Iono here. Okay. That's going to reduce Cameron's hand size down to 2. Has used all the trades already. Would love to see a basic energy here in these 2 cards. Let's see what they are. 1, 2. Oh, no energy there.
Yeah, only 7 energies being played in the deck. 4 currently on the board.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry, there is one more. Oh, there's not a trade left. He's doing the Adrenabrain. That's going to move off 30 damage already.
Yeah, and will we see a flip? Because this flip could still be pretty big here.
Good point, actually. No, we're going to see the grasping draw. That makes a lot of sense as well, letting you draw up till you have 7 cards in hand. And that would remove the special condition confusion as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess the only awkward thing here with the grasping draw, now you're going up to 7. You flung over 30 damage to that Pheasantipity. You're going to see it coming back.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be the one slight awkward thing, because you're leaving that Monkey Dory in the active spot there for Pedro to maybe play around a bit more those damage counters that are on his side of the board now. But Pedro's still got quite a bit to try and navigate through this turn. Currently still 3 prizes behind from Cameron, having taken 4, and Pedro only currently taken 1 knockout on that Ends Darumaka.
Yeah, but if any deck can come back, we know that Dragapult decks love to try and come back. But here we do see that Adrenabrain moving that 30 damage straight back onto the Ends Zoroark, and then healing the Pheasantipity by 30 as well.
Yeah, a little bit of pass the parcel there on the 3 damage counters between the 2 Pokemon at the moment. So that we do have confirmation that Monkey Dory has been utilized now. Buddy Poffin just being played just to kind of double check what Pedro may have access to. I mean, unfortunately not much there, of course, because has prized sort of the 1-1-1 line of the Dragapults as well. Just as a reminder, you know, we got an early glimpse of it, nice and early at the same time. We've seen the Charizard EX go down as well. And now we're just on the board. We're playing the board with just a Monkey Dory and the Dragapult EX here, waiting in the wings. There is a boss's orders, but what can you do with that? Can you maybe... You haven't been able to really remove the stadium as well. There's only 1 stadium in Pedro's list, as we do see the boss's orders now on that Monkey Dory. We'll be taking a knockout here with Phantom Dive, maybe removing the plays that Cameron might have by using the Adrenabrain there, as more damage counters being placed onto the damaged Ends Zoroark EX and just prepping the others at the same time. I do like this a lot here.
Yep. This is a big turn, maneuvering those into range of Adrenabrain plus Phantom Dive combination. Big prize card there for Pedro as well. Currently on 4 prize cards remaining. Cameron is on 2. There was no hand disruption there, so after the grasping draw, does have a lot of resources available. See a lot of energy there. One copy of basic energy and the ends PP up. Does have Professor Churro as well, because could potentially heal off one of these Zoroarks, but because Pedro spread the damage out, won't be able to have a fresh Zoroark here.
Yeah, not completely at the moment. We'll need to hit that energy, and with the Hens PP up currently in hand, could utilize the third End Zoroark on the board to attack with a fresh one, should he choose to do so. But we're going to continue seeing more cards cycling through as well. That deck's going to be starting to look thin, I'm sure, here. Defiance Band picked up, not that useful. Pheasantipity could be useful on a future turn here, should one of those End Zoroark EX go down. Third one being eyed up to utilize trade now.
Big trade here, let's see. Going to discard the Artisan. That makes a lot of sense. We're getting a lot of use out of Ends Castle. No point in, replacing that 2 cards. What are we going to see? Energy Switch, that could be helpful. Secret Box Ace-Bet coming back as well.
Big pickups, but what are you looking for? I guess this is the only real question at the moment. Do you even, can you find a way to maybe, there's no real way to take out the Pheasantipity for the moment as well. That's also just out of range because, as you mentioned, damage, you are capped at the Virtuous Flame, 170. I mean, there's only 8 damage counters on that End Zoroark EX, which is 160 after Powerful Rage, if that's decided as the attack of choice here. Kind of just double checking what resources Cameron has gone through. It's going to be so important as the Ends PP up is being utilized now.
And it is going to be attached to that fresh End Zoroark that has no damage on it. Could see the energy switch there being used. Could save that at a later date. Try and pull off some monkey shenanigans there as well. Power Pad, item card, letting you shuffle in any 2 supporters you like from your discard pile back into your deck. Boss's orders being eyed up. Love that. And what else are we going to see? Oh, maybe just the boss. That's a bit of a statement right there if it is.
Yeah, it's one of those big things now. I mean, if you're dealing 170 to the Dragapult EX in the active, that does leave it with 150 HP remaining. But when you're then going to see an Adrenabrain come back out at you, you're kind of putting it back to 180, and it's still kind of then out of range of a Virtuous Flame. It would have to be then a Powerful Rage that would knock it out. But I'm sure Pedro's not going to try and play into that game plan as he has done so far in this scenario there. The Power Pad has shuffled up at least that Boss's orders. Energy attachment to that End Zoroark EX now. We have 2 raring to go. 2 out of 3 already damaged. 1 fresh one. Professor Churro scenario being eyed up. Onto the Cleffa. Just getting it out of play so it's not an easy target from Phantom Dive.
We are going to see End Zoroark hit that active now. That means Night Joker is the attack rating to be used. Obviously, Night Joker lets you use any attack you like. Can't be using Powerful Rage. That would do 0. So I imagine we'd see a nice big Virtuous Flame for 170. But as you did say, Alex, with Adrenabrain live, it's just going to bounce back 30 damage straight away.
Yeah, just double checking how many cards are left in Pedro's hand there. Checking those resources. Gives us a chance to kind of have a quick glimpse into the discard pile once again as well. Making sure we're helping to track from our side exactly what's going on. Cameron just kind of deciding maybe now is the time to use my secret box. Discarding a few cards that are less useful in this scenario right now. Looks like that Pheasantipity, the Cleffa, and an Artisan being discarded. So can choose with this secret box an item card, a supporter card, something like that Boss's orders that's already been chucked back into the deck as an example. Another tool card and another stadium, but I know there was a couple already in hand, so we'll get confirmation of exactly what Cameron's looking at right now as he's just deliberating. Just the 2 cards. Black Belt's training.
Ooh, well, that's an interesting one. Then you do an extra 40 damage into your opponent's EX this turn. Now that would actually mean Virtuous Flame plus Adrenabrain plus Virtuous Flame again would actually reach the KO, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the unique inclusions of this deck just to try and make you stretch that little bit further. If there was a world where that Pheasantipity was in the active, I guess Virtual Flame with the Black Pelts training would also hit the 210. Just an update for everyone. As we do see a Virtuous Flame attack into the Dragapult EX there, putting it down to 150 HP remaining. Just want to give an update to everyone right now in the other asymmetric top cut game. Rosh Patel has beaten John Eng 2-0 to advance into our North American International Championships top 8. Congratulations to Rosh there. And commiserations to John Eng. It's been a great run. Unfortunately, has been stopped at this stage of the tournament.
Back over to Pedro here. Just deliberating on what to do. Hasn't played a card yet. I think 3 cards in hand. There's a Buddy Poffin. I imagine we probably won't be seeing a target on that. We've seen him play these recently and fail them, but at least gets to consult the deck. And Serendipity is not live right now because none of Pedro's Pokemon were knocked out during Cameron's last turn. So, yep, just going to consult the deck there via that Buddy Poffin, shuffle it up. Now, what do we do? This is the thing. You really can't just be phantom diving into the active. That damage comes flying straight back. So we need Pedro to start playing musical chairs a little bit here. There's an Ino. Does play counter catch. I know we've seen at least one. There's 2 in the deck. One's definitely been used. So there might be one available. 4 new cards for Pedro. Boss's orders. Chi-Yu, Charizard EX, and a rare candy.
Yeah, not the most useful in this scenario. Chi-Yu usually utilized as a revenge attacker.
Yep.
With that Mega Fire of Envy if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn. This does 90 more damage, so that 50 plus 90, 140 damage attacker on a single prizer. Very useful into other matchups, not quite this one. But it's just deliberating. How do I handle this? This is just a Phantom Dive being announced, I believe, right?
No. I know we saw Adrenabrain being used. Wait, maybe, is it a Phantom Dive?
Yeah.
Wait, it looks like it, yeah, it must be because we're just deliberating the bench damage there, getting spread to the bench. So it is over to Cameron now. Powerful Flame would be game here. Night Joker plus Powerful Flame combination, unless I am mistaken. But nope, it looks like we are going to see the Powerful Rage attack. Big KO there for Cameron as he wins game 1 here in our asymmetrical top cut at the North American International Championships. Tell you what, that Ends Restaurant put a lot of work in that game. We had Virtuous Flame, Virtuous Flame, Virtuous Flame, and Powerful Rage for game.
Yeah, incredible display of a deck that so many people had written off. Yeah. He had the threat of the Ends Darumaka down at one stage, quickly targeted down by Pedro, but it didn't matter in the end. If I can keep announcing big heavy attackers, if I can keep announcing trade, seeing more cards, whatever disruption you do to me will not be enough as we get a chance to just have a watch back of exactly how that went down.
I really liked that game for Cameron there because I felt Pedro was asking a lot of questions early on, and Cameron was just able to leapfrog them. We saw the turn 1 Itchy Pollen. Cameron was able to respond with this Ciano. Here we saw the big Boss plus Virtuous Flame combination. Pedro trying his best to stabilize, removing that Ends Darumaka. That was the threat at the time, but Cameron was able to stabilize. And this was just poetry in motion, quite honestly. There we did see the Virtuous Flame. Again, we saw the big clutch Adrenabrains, and I loved the clutch Professor Churro as well. Cypher Maniac's Code-Breaking even got an appearance, but this was the big turn. The big Powerful Rage, 400 damage, bouncing it straight back, and that results in both players shuffling up ready for our game 2.
Yeah, so we're going to have to try and go through a different game plan right now. Pedro cannot be swinging too easily into an Ends Zoroark EX there. And we just saw Cameron with a, I'm not quite sure if that was the poker face or not, but it looks like
a double mulligan, yeah.
I think saw the double buddy pop in and was just like, wow, this could have been great, but
that's one of them where you draw your first 3 or 4 cards and you're like, please be a basic, please be a basic, please be a basic. But alas, it was not. In the Pokemon TCG, if your opening hand of 7 does not contain a basic Pokemon, you reveal your hand to your opponent, and then if your opponent has a basic Pokemon, they get to draw an additional card for each mulligan. However, since both Cameron and Pedro did mulligan, they both sort of say, let's have another go at having the starting hand.
Yeah, I mean, despite how the kind of game plan went out, a lot of time was taken. We still have plenty of time, however. There's a lot of opportunity for Pedro to turn this back around.
There really is.
We do need to get into those stage 2s, and we do need to take sort of big, cheeky knockouts in reality.
Yeah.
You know, try and force the issue without having to necessarily always hit into an Ends Zoroark EX because of that scare of that Powerful Rage attack.
Yeah.
Both our players now do have their active Pokemon You know, we're just finalizing the last bits of the setup for this game 2. We're going to be kicking this off shortly. There is the fist bump, both players. Game 2 of our asymmetric Top Cut feature match. 2 baby Pokemon in the active spots. Cleffa once again in the active for Cameron. The Badoo there for Pedro. And it's on Cameron to kick things off. It looks like just deliberating on just getting a Monkey Dory down with a Dark Energy. That hand, Shay.
There's no Zoroark in that hand. I don't see any ball search either. This could be a fairly quick turn 1. And there is the pass over to Pedro. Now must be licking his lips thinking, all right, okay. How about this? You haven't got Zoroark in play, but Pedro's hand equally looking a bit dire. Charmeleon, unfair stamp, rare candy, TM evolution. Could this be one of the rare times you see the Badoo not using Itchy Pull and going for the TM evolution instead?
I think that's the deliberation right now, or is it more important to just get the energy attachments onto the Dreepy here? But you just saw your opponent's hand. I mean, it's only a turn 1, so you know your opponent can't attack, can't play any as supporters, as you just mentioned there, Shay. So is it just, let me just get into the game as I normally would and slow this down? It is the Itchy Pollen on that Cleffa. It's taken 1 damage once again. What's that top deck? Cypher Maniacs. And then going straight into a Grasping Draw will mean you allow yourself to potentially just draw into them. There's a way out. There's a way out, Shay.
It is a way out. You'd like it to be a bit more immediate.
Of course.
It is a way out.
You can't have everything, all right? To just stay in the game is ever so important. And that Cleffa's not going down.
You say that, Alex, but I'm sure if you ask Cameron right now if he wants everything, I'm sure he would say yes. So you know what I mean? Let's not be playing those games. We do see the Rigid Band getting attached to Monkey Dory. Now, that is functionally useless. Rigid Band is only effective if it's attached to a stage 1 Pokemon, but it does reduce the damage to that stage 1 Pokemon by 30. Now, here is the Cypher Maniac's code breaking, letting Cameron put any 2 cards he likes to the top of his deck, and then can obviously draw them via Grasping Draw. Now, this is actually Cameron's first time he's consulting the deck, so we'll be able to work out potentially what's in those prize cards, and it looks like...
Yeah, let's learn alongside Cameron here, as he's just kind of double-checking exactly what's available. Oh, one of those Darumaka Damanitan pieces again. Exactly, the Pheasantipity at the top as well. I wonder what I'd like to see from this actual Cypher Maniac's code breaking here. Probably something like a supporter needs to kind of get into the game, get some of those Zoroark down as soon as possible. Maybe, I mean, you don't really want to give your opponent an artisan or anything like that. Remember, you can't play items because generally your item lot. So you have to maybe go for a supporter, maybe like an Iono, preserve some of those key resources currently in hand maybe, and then maybe just look for something just to kind of a draw into them rather than necessarily having to put an artisan down on turn 3 of your game 2 here in this asymmetric Top Cup.
It's interesting. You know, you would love to just go Buddy Buddy Poffin plus Serrano combinations. You get your Zoroark and play quick. But when your item like that Buddy Buddy Poffin is functionally useless, I wonder if you even potentially start to grab an energy and then start mind bending perhaps and apply a bit of pressure and KO this Badoo. I don't think Cameron had any other energy in the hand. Just going to consult the deck, still working out. And this is the interesting thing about Cypher Maniac. You get any 2 cards you like. And quite honestly, it can make decision-making a little bit tough. So you have to start trying to plan 3 or 4 turns ahead. Looks like 1 card has been deliberated, though. And just working out what to take next. The Itchy Pollen really making life awkward. And I think you were right, Alex. It looked like an Iono was taken as that second one.
Yeah, you just want to preserve those resources. There's too much to maybe try and grab like a... You know, you can't really do too much more in terms of draw power. Your draw power is the trade ability. You just need to get into them first. So let's go with the Iono. From there on, we can try and hopefully piece together some Zoroarks into Zoroarks at some stage.
And it looks like, Cypher Maniac has been concluded. And there is the Grasping Draw. So it gets those 2 cards plus 1 more. So that's 3 in total. Now it is over to Pedro. Can't use that unfair stamp. Oh, goodness. Wow, that hand really is a bit tired, isn't it? You can attach energy. We could see the bites for 40. I mean, I would actually take the KO, funnily enough. I doubt you'd ever want to do that, though. Oh, this is awkward. You'd love to have a Dragapult EX in that hand. Imagine slamming down rare candy Dragapult right now. Instead, it is just going to be the Itchy Pollen, not even opting to attach an energy there. Okay, is over to Cameron. Is still item locked though. I wonder if we'll see what one of those cards was from the Cypher Maniac.
I mean, one of them is likely to be that Zoroark, right? You need to get one of those down. It's got to be hopefully a supporter, something like that Iono. Try and get into more things. Does get the NG attachment onto the end Zoroark as well.
This is interesting. You know that Pedro's hand is really dire. Do you want to give him 6 new cards?
Well, maybe it's one of those things where you're thinking, well, maybe Pedro's holding on to an Iono, and if I'm not doing anything, and he doesn't want to play it.
Iono last turn.
Yeah,
though.
well, you never know. You never know at this stage. But we do see now an Adrenabrain sending back the 20 damage to the Badoo.
Yeah, and it looks like we are just going to see the grasping draw. I like that play. Thinking, well, if you're dead drawing, I'm not going to help you out. Is over to Pedro, though. Looks like did draw a Buddy popping. Is able to get some more bench Pokemon down. Will be able to grab some Dreepy and or Charmander. And this is actually Pedro's first deck search. It is going to be able to work out that one of those Dreepy have been prized. 1 Luminous Energy, 1 Fire Energy, Dragapult EX as well.
Yeah, and just as we get that sort of deck search for the first time on Pedro's side, I'm starting to get some more results come through. At least nothing concluded at the moment, but just to give an update for everyone, I'm sure looking forward to finding out exactly how it's going on. Dreepy and Charmander has hit the field now, but Isaiah Bradner is currently 1-0 up in his asymmetric top match. Bodie versus Greg right now is currently 1-1. So Bodie Robinson up against Grink Minkley is 1-1 as well. And then Riley McKay currently 1-0 up against Nathan Ginsberg.
Just as we do see the team evolution via the Badoo. So that's going to accelerate those 2 bench Dreepy into Drakloak. Is over to Cameron's side of the field now.
And
let's see what he can do.
Yeah, so important now. The item lock has been broken because of that technical machine evolution attack.
So let's see what Cameron can do here. So his hand has been unlocked a little bit. Did we see a way to get the end Zoroark in that hand? I can't quite. Let's have a secret box in hand.
Well, you can now. That'll get you a supporter like a Sarano, so you can start piecing together, you know, 8 end Zoroark EX. I mean, one of the cute things that Pedro has done is by not actually attacking with Itchy Pollen again, he knows that Monkey Dory can't fling back over that 10 damage and just take an easy knockout onto the Badoo. But yeah, it does look like we're going to get a secret box being utilized now. That the ends Darmanitan looked like it was going to be the choice to be just placed into the discard pile. No, just trying to save it, knowing that it could be ever so important on a potential turn. Even just getting the Darumaka down is actually a big threat. Even though
prize cards though.
Yeah, I mean at some stage, right? You take a knockout, you get the Darumaka down, and just be like, well, you need to deal with this, or eventually, if you don't evolve up, it's gonna get you.
Well, that's what we did see it get KO'd pretty swiftly in game 1. But there is a secret box guarding 3 cards from your hand, and you can grab an item, a tool card, a supporter card, and a stadium. There's that rigid band as we do get the zoom in angle. Love that. Didn't actually see the rigid band get used in game 1. Tool card, while it's attached to a stage 1 Pokemon, reduce that damage it's attached to by 30. Buddy Poffin being taken as well. Still got to pick a supporter though. And as we did say, there's that Serrano. And that Serrano can turn into an end Zoroark EX, and the end Zoroark EX can turn into 2 more cards via its ability trade.
Yeah, not just one end Zoroark EX, you get multiple, right? So you can start getting cards out of the deck. Finning is winning, one of those key phrases we always use all the time. Buddy Poppin, utilize first, of course. You still want to build out your board to have more end Zoroark as soon as possible so that you can go into those trades ability, so that you can see more cards each and every turn here. There's the 2nd and 3rd end Zoroark now hit the field. It's one of those scenarios which Pedro's going to get potentially some PTSD, as we saw from the first game. Once you get the Zoroarks down, you get those Zoroarks, they're tough to take out, especially when your Pokemon are currently capped at maximum 200 damage with no prizes taken from Cameron's side of the board.
Think about how awkward that is to deal with. They're saying, you cannot attack into my main attack. I just bounce the damage back for big KOs. It makes life so awkward for Pedro. The only sort of thing Pedro can hold his hat on here is that Cameron only has access to 1 Zoroark. If he chooses to use the Serrano this time. Ooh, are we going to see a scratch KO 1 for 20? That would be a KO. That would limit any Itchy Pollen potentially next turn. That would leave an end Zoroark to be very vulnerable, or what we could, or a technical machine evolution. Going to bounce those Dratlo's back to the hand, so that means there will be no Phantom Dive threat, because that TM Machine Evolution lets you pick 2 of your opponent's Pokemon and de-evolve them. Now, Pedro can put them straight back down, make no mistake about it, but that means there will be no Phantom Dive Dragapult threat this turn.
Yeah, we're going to see some recon directives here, some additional cards to give Pedro some more decisions that could be made. I think one of the key things he has to again consider is utilizing Itchy Pollen.
Wait. There was a rare candy and a Charizard EX currently in that hand, thanks to the recon directive.
I think it's going to be so important to get that Luminous Energy. We need that Monkey Dory, I think, live. I think if this is this has to be a pretty big turn where you try and get maybe the Monkey Dory and just energy attachments. We don't have it at the moment. Rare Candy, as you mentioned, Shay, really big just to kind of get that big, bulky Charizard EX going right now. Because if you can get the Monkey Dory down, you can send the 20 damage off the Badoo.
Yeah.
And then essentially just means that the Monkey Dory won't be able to send back a 10 damage Itchy Pollen back onto it. And it won't just be knocked out from a simple Adrenabrain on Cameron's next turn. But if he chooses to use Itchy Pollen now, it just won't be good enough. So maybe this is why we have to go into the Charizard EX and maybe just start forcing the issue. Take the first prize.
Yeah.
Although then Cameron's playing from behind. Those counter catches are going to be live.
Defiance Band as well will be live as well. Might not be as relevant. We do see a Luminous Energy getting attached to bench Dratlo. Free retreat thanks to the Badoo. But here we do see the big bad Burning Darkness KO. That's 180 damage, more than enough to carry that Enzora. Pedro is currently on the board here in our game 2 here in the asymmetrical top cut. Look like Iono was taken from the prizes. Is over to Cameron now. Can play that Serrano to grab 2 and Zoroark, and looks like is going to do that. I mean, you can grab 3 copies and then get them straight into play. Only could get 2 of them into play, obviously. Could grab Pheasantipity as well.
I mean, I'm sure you'd love to, but when you're hiding in the prizes, Pheasantipity
silly me. Thank you, production staff, catching me out there. Appreciate you.
But you can still grab something like the Blood Moon Ursaluna, just get it out of the deck, or maybe, that is the decision. It's the same as what we saw in game 1, where Cameron did just sort of pitch away the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Such a great late game attacker, but in this scenario, I mean, dealing the damage that you do with a Blood Moon Ursaluna won't be much different than just dealing 170 Virtuous Flame in reality at the end of the day. But there it is. We do have the 2 ends Zoroark EX now. I'm sure we're going to see them both evolving up from those Zoroarks. There we go. 2 live and active and ready. Trade ability on the board. First one, Blood Moon Ursaluna. See you later.
Straight to the discard pile. Ends PP up, actually quite impactful here. Does actually need to get energy in play to start attacking. We do see energy switch in hand, so can maneuver that energy from Monkey Dory onto a Zoroark EX. We do see the ends of Reshiram as well, so Night Joker will be able to attack, well, with something good.
It needs one more energy, right? Because the ends PP up, as you kind of already highlighted, does get 1 back onto an end Zoroark EX, but let's see what this draw is. Artisan pitched away, 2 cards. And Zoroark EX, ooh, Serrano, not quite the energy maybe needed here. Or would maybe have to utilize the energy switch off the Monkey Dory, which, again, we've highlighted.
Is there an energy in the discard pile, though?
Was there maybe? Yeah, there was one from the end
from the end Zoroark. Yeah, no, you are correct. So we can go ends PP up plus energy switch combination, as we do see the ends Reshiram hit the board as well. That means Powerful Rage and Virtuous Flame. Well, Powerful Rage isn't live, but Virtuous Flame definitely is. There's the Night Stretcher. That's going to grab back the end Zorua.
Yep, kind of so important to make sure you have as much draw power as possible. There's ends PB up, energy acceleration to your benched ends Pokemon there. And it goes straight onto the end Zoroark EX. We do have the Rigid Band as well, another way to just make it super, super difficult for your opponent's Pokemon to take big knockouts on your end Zoroark EX. Energy switch off the Monkey Dory here. Ready to go. Virtuous Flame on that Charizard EX. 170 damage right now. Applying so much pressure on Pedro's side of the board. No current Monkey Dory available. 2 Luminous Energies already attached as well. We know 1 actually was prized at the same time. So there's only 1 available left in the deck, as it looks like we're getting a Fire Energy attachment, getting a Dragapult potentially ready for future turns here. Remember, Charizard EX still only capped at 180. I mean, you're only doing 10 more than what that Reshiram can do.
Well, I got 150 thanks to the rigid
Oh,
band
yeah,
as well,
of course,
right?
of course. You're doing worse than the Reshiram.
Oh dear, that rigid band's making life.
Oh,
there is the
here's
upper
the
luminous
fourth.
energy, though. Okay, there we go. Who cares if you prize them? Just draw into them. As we do see a second recon directive, Dragapult EX.
And an Arven there. So that Arven can help you get some cards. Maybe get something like that Nest Ball. Maybe even get that Monkey Dory as an option. Kind of always a very useful card to have on your board, say, with a Dark Energy. But it's kind of deliberating there. Ooh. It is going to be that Arven pick. That Dragapult EX going straight to the bottom of the deck for the moment there. I think we're happy with that.
Awkward for Pedro, isn't it? When you can't attack into your opponent's attacker, like, it just makes life so much awkward. Musical chairs. Obviously, could grab a counter catcher here, to be fair, though, off the Arven.
I mean, this scenario...
Oh, no, he's ahead on prizes, so I can't do that.
You're probably just going to want to... You probably do spend some time just hitting into the end Zoroark and, you know, forcing the Professor Churro scenario, forcing more combo plays there. There is the rescue board being eyed up and the Ultra Ball as well, as the Ultra Ball is now discarding a Charmeleon and a 3P. Does get the Dragapult, so maybe we are just going to Dragapult at the moment. It will be 200 to the active. Again, does leave you susceptible to that powerful rage, but maybe Pedro's thinking that Charizard EX is so important to just have one mid to late game.
Problem is, though, if you attack with Phantom Dive, which we are, Rigid Band gives you an effective 310. If you then Adrenabrain off 30, you're now into free-shot territory, and you can just announce Powerful Rage twice for 4 prize cards. We are going to see Phantom Dive here, though. That's going to be 170 damage into the active, thanks to that Rigid Band activation. And then 6 damage counts getting spread. So all 6 onto the bench, and Zoroark EX.
Yeah, 300.
Oh, let's just think Pedro's saying, why have we only put 170 on there, Cameron? Because of the Rigid Band.
There you go. Third, Zoroark EX now hitting the field. Powerful Rage now currently dealing 340 damage.
It's a big number.
2 times, or 20 times, should say, the damage counters on the Reshiram or on this Pokemon, as the attack says. So currently dealing more than enough to deal with this Dragapult EX. Oh, here we go. It's going to be such an important turn here. This could swing things drastically as we do see the first trade.
Yeah, so ends Reshiram and ends Zoroark. That's not super helpful right now. Both of those cards aren't really helpful, to be honest. We are going to see trade, though. Just going to discard. What we're going to discard here is going to be the end Zoroark to draw 2-1. And 2, what are these? Dark Energy. Love to see that ends PP here. Okay. Do have that ends Castle currently in play still as well. And this is where this deck is so powerful. When you're drawing 6 cards a turn, you have 3 retreat. You can accelerate energy from the discard pile. You can copy any one of your ends Pokemon's attack in play. It can just get out of hand. And we still haven't even seen the last trade yet. Looks like that's what Cameron is eyeing up here. Looks like he's going to discard the reversal energy. Not super helpful right now since there is no Darmanitan threat. Well, anywhere near in the same stratosphere. We are going to see Dark Energy and an Enzora.
Yeah, the Dark Energy is always a useful pickup. Start powering up your other Pokemon or even get it onto things like the Monkey Dory. But prioritizing right now another Zoroark EX, thinking maybe this one in the active spot does eventually go down.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's going down. It's going to be taking names with it right now to use his Powerful Rage. But that's the decision that Cameron has to make now. All trades utilized there.
Yep.
As we do see the Powerful Rage now, 340 damage.
That's a big, massive KO for Cameron to get on the board. Pedro looking like he's going to put some dice on there, but that's a big one-shot. Looks like Buddy Pop and Ends Darumaka has been taken from the prize cards. Is over to Pedro. This is looking a little bit dicey, Alex. The Dragapult has gone down. The Charizard X has got damaged, but there is Pedro going to start his comeback here with that unfair stamp, reducing Cameron's hand size down to 2. Pedro will get 5 and still has access to supporter, but the only problem with unfair stamp was rather unfair for Pedro is that the 2 cards becomes 3 cards after a top deck, and then we get an extra 6 thanks to the trade.
Yeah, right now 6. He's going to be hoping we can maybe take down the active Zoroark EX.
Just could be find energy still, actually.
Could be 4. Needs energy. I mean, annoyingly, that Badoo does have an energy currently trapped on the active as well.
Does have 2 energy in the prize cards. Oh, Do we see energy? Does the person research? Uh-oh. No energy yet. Oh.
We could potentially keep going through the deck. I mean, just double checking.
There's a lot of ways to get through the deck.
Yeah, I mean, 5 fire energies generally in the deck itself, 4 luminous energy. We know where all 4 of those
Still no energy
have been around. We haven't seen it yet with the first recon directive that we have here. So it's not the easiest to try and pick up right now.
Not what you want. You don't want to be having to try and fight for an energy here if you're Pedro. You want to be able to announce an attack, send that end Zoroark down. Looks like Pheasantipity has hit the field. Buddy popping first. Get to consult the deck. Let's see how many are in there. Oh, 1.
Luminous energy there we saw.
1?
Yeah, that was a scary thing right now because one of those fire energies are prized. And one of them got discarded from the Charizard EX retreating. There was another one that was attached to the Dragapult EX which went down. So it is.
So there's only 2 outs.
Is it just 2?
Night Stretch. I only saw one Night Stretcher and a luminous energy. Yeah. Wow.
You're right. But in terms of raw energies,
this is goodness gracious. Okay,
yeah, we do get a double check, of course, that Dragapult has been prized. So it's not even the easiest to consider as a way. So we do need that Night Stretch at the same time. So a couple more pieces still to go. We're going to flip the script first here.
Let's have a look. Night Stretcher. Okay.
That's 1.
That's 1 piece.
That's 1 piece. We still need 1 more.
Well, I guess realistically, instead of attack with the Charizard here, right?
Still needs an energy on it. Would have to use that Night Stretcher for the energy instead. Then committing that Dragapult is not going to be coming back anytime soon.
Oh, but if you do that, it just gets Virtuous Flamed.
Yeah, because there's only 1 Night Stretcher in the list.
Wow, this is looking dicey then. Having those energy prize and the Dragapult EX early on didn't seem super impactful, but you know, when the energies are so tight in these lists, it can really come back to bite you if they hit the discard for silly reasons. Here is a Night Stretcher, though. What are we going to...
Yeah, it's going to be that Dragapult EX getting that attacker back live again, of course. Does have some cards which are currently, available to be played. You know, that Counter Catcher is live. Hasn't played a supporter, if I'm not mistaken, right? Just to confirm.
Nope, hasn't played supporter.
Just the unfair stamp. There's a Counter Catcher on the damaged end Zoroark EX right now. Doesn't have energy on it. Does have a stadium to replace the End's Castle right now. Maybe hoping that's a way to trap your opponent's turn for the moment. Ultra Ball being utilized now. So we're just going through what those options are. Will you be getting another Charmander? Maybe prepping a second Charizard at some point. You do play a Super Rod to replenish, but as the Monkey Dory as the option right here, right now. Only access to 1 luminous energy. Obviously can't get that attached to the Dragapult EX either. So a bit of an awkward spot here.
You can go for a Dragon Headbutt, right? I mean,
yeah, the Jet Headbutt is live.
Headbutt, sorry, yeah. Oh, there's like, see Professor's Research being played there for the support. 7 new cards. What are they?
Yeah,
Iono, Drakloak, Nest Ball, Iono, Charizard EX, and a Drakloak.
Not quite what you're looking for. You haven't got that energy attachment down at the moment. We might just be a bit stuck because that fire energy right now is still stuck on that Badoo. It's not ideal because it's got 3 retreats, so any retreat won't actually get rid of it for the moment. It's just a bit of an annoyance for Pedro's turn, of course.
That's the thing, these Charizard EX decks love to play, you know, real low amounts of fire energies because you can get them into play via Infernal Rain, but as you say, when the Badoo that attacks for 3 has a fire energy on it, get a little bit life awkward.
Yeah, it doesn't have access to another Dreepy right now. Another one, again, we've seen the prizes a few times now. That other Dreepy is prized. Itchy Pollen just kind of putting it on 20 damage
20 damage because of the weakness.
So what can we play? Oh, he just top decked a Professor Churro scenario, it looked like.
Wow.
There's some maneuverability for you
and
if you ever needed it. And had the End Castle in
hand as well. You can pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is incredible here. I mean, the deck itself is just playing itself in reality.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's before you've even used your trades as well.
What's actually probably difficult is actually trying to use trade for which options you go for. Because the Power Pad's also useful as well.
Power Pad's a good card. It's getting sent to the discard pile, though, for 1 and 2 cards here. What are they?
Artisan.
Another stadium replacer. Ends PP up. Can't play that one, though. Can't play Ends PP up here.
Remember, no item cards. I guess the Power Pad was the easy choice because you can't play it. Yeah. But still, one of those where it's just like, again, it's just kind of awkward because you like to utilize that power pad, you know, to get back stuff like the Professor Churro scenario, especially if they're not, your Pokemon aren't getting knocked out, right? Here's the second trade now. Still one more waiting in the wings. Dark Energy, Cypher Maniac. And there we go. So now it's just a decision. I mean, do you want to play the stadium right now? You maybe don't quite know the tech cards, the number of stadiums in your opponent's deck right now. We're very lucky. We know it's just that one jamming tower.
I like this. If you're using a Adrenabrain here, you can actually mid-turn KO the Badoo and force something up into the active that Pedro doesn't want to take damage right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call, Shay. So important. These little micro decisions that need to be made here. So we're just deciding which Pokemon we're going to actually remove.
And I like this. Doing the Adrenabrain first. We're going to take the KO without revealing what else is in the hand. So Pedro isn't to know that Cameron can easily remove this Zoroark out the active. But there is the Adrenabrain mid-turn KO on the Badoo. Cameron goes down to 3 prize cards left. And this is a dangerous decision if Pedro hasn't got the knowledge that Cameron can maneuver this Zoroark easily. So he's going to promote the Monkey Door. That's the safest pick.
I mean, the scary thing is if this Zoroark goes into the active, it does have powerful rage, 170 damage on it. If it goes to the active spot, it's dealing 340 damage to whatever's in the active spot. So you can't send up an EX Pokemon. That's an easy 2 prizes there.
You can't, yeah.
So it has to be the Monkey Dory that is unfortunately sacrificed in this active spot.
But the problem is here, if Cameron can just KO this Monkey Dory, which he very easily can, go down to 2 prize cards, and at that point, Charizard EX isn't going to go anywhere. If you dare damage another end Zoroark, you can powerful rage into the Dragapult. It's looking quite tough, but it is going to be the Cypher Maniac co-breaking as the supporter now. And what that basically means is whatever Cameron wants to do next turn, he can do it because he can put any 2 cards out to the top of his deck.
Yeah, and I really like this. It looks like he's eyeing up a boss's orders for a future turn, self-protecting that. If I'm going to send up this end Zoroark EX, maybe he needs to find another energy to power up the second attacker that's available at some stage as well.
There is
one
an
energy
PP up in hand. Obviously, can't play it now. So if the Ends Castle does stick, you can just promote something else. Ends PP up potentially next turn.
But you do have to worry about getting potentially Iono'd, so you're only going to be working off the top 2 cards.
You got your trades still.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, but you got to keep playing.
Yeah, no, this is true. Playing to your outs. This is why Cameron's so far ahead here and in the asymmetrical top cut. So let's see what happens. He's going to draw those 2 cards from the Cypher Maniac because of the trade, obviously. What is the discard going to be? His energy switch in hand as well. Did we see that? I might have got unfair stamp.
Don't quite see that.
Boss's orders and energy. There you go.
But again, you can't play the boss's orders now. So that boss's orders, if it gets Iono, it gets put to the bottom of the deck.
But what this means is you can sort of put your Ends Castle in, prepare your next end Zoroark. Do you even attack with the fresh one here, preserving the big...
You've already attached the Monkey Dory.
Oh, we did. I apologize.
No, yeah, it was already attached to
we have
Monkey
seen
Dory,
an attachment already. We did see the attachment already. Oh, now this is interesting. Has the retreat been committed already? I'm not 100% sure. We'll get confirmation. We do have table judges there. So we are going to get that energy back into hand by the looks of it. Well done to the table judges catching that. We love to see that.
This is why I guess what I would have liked to have seen is just leaving those 2 at the top of the deck. If it gets Iono'd, then you know you'll draw into them. So it doesn't have to worry too much. But again, you know, it's one of those things, sometimes when you're attaching to a Monkey Dory, you don't quite see it as like an attachment because you have the end Zoroarks.
Yeah, it easily happens, you know. In my head, energy attachments is to fuel attacks, you know. Not, you know, Monkey Dory, as you say, sort of slips the mind, as it were. So now it looks like we are just going to see a retreat.
Not going into the attacker, so leaving the Monkey Dory in the active spot. Maybe now just saying, let's just draw some cards up. I mean,
I don't mind this. You know, Pedro hasn't really done a great deal recently. He's just saying, well, let me take this turn off, really checkmate you here. Or no, deciding against it in the end. This is a really interesting decision, actually. It's not as easy at face value, because if this Zoroark EX goes down, you haven't got an easy get-out-the-way option to take your last 2 prize cards, right?
You need the boss's orders and an energy, right? And then you got trades. You got to try and just get into it.
Yeah, true, which is currently in hand, actually. Yeah, no, you're right. You've
still got some Monkey Dory shenanigans. Here it is. Well, either of the attacks knocks out the Monkey Dory now.
Powerful Rage or Virtuous Flame. Cameron takes 1 more prize card, 2 prize cards away from securing himself a slot in the top 8 here at the North American International Championships. Took the Professor's Churro from the prizes. Is over to Pedro now. does still need to find some energy here. Don't forget, Rigid Band is currently live. That's reducing damage to the end Zoroark in the active by 30. Here we go.
Top deck of the Iono, but he already had one in hand. Is that a super rod? Yeah, so I mean, we do need to get enough energy, and there's a number of energies in the discard pile. Already utilized that one night stretcher. So,
and here's what you say: if you left the cards at the top, they've now been sent straight back to the bottom from that Iono. Let's see what there's. Luminous energy. Oh, but you can't use that on the...
Yeah, you can't attach it. It doesn't work when you have two of them attached, unfortunately.
Can't even attack with the Charizard EX realistically, because that just gets KO to a Virtuous Flame.
You're Ionoing, you're shuffling back those cards you just put to the bottom. Is there still access to something like that Super Rod? That's available. Remember, one Fire Energy currently prized. Doesn't have access to any more without accessing the discard pile. This is going to be the only problematic aspect here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw much going on in that hand. Or not hand, sorry, the deck. Is there an out for Pedro here? Because right now, that end Zoroark EX still has that Rigid Band. Jet Headbutt's only going to be doing 40 damage.
Oh, that's not one in a late game scenario, is it?
And it's already swinging back with that powerful Rage attack for a knockout. Oh boy, we're in trouble here.
Oh, and it's a concession from Pedro. Cameron Shanoy has won games 1 and 2 here in our asymmetrical top cut, the North American International Championships. Him and the Zoroark EX box archetype is currently going to be in our top 8 here. Congratulations to Cameron.
Incredible display from a deck, like we said, that everyone had written off. End Zoroark. It's such an amazing way to kind of display the power of the deck when you know your opponent cannot really take big one-hit KOs. You can protect your Pokemon with its high HP, with the Rigid Band, with the Monkey Dory, as we do get to see the cheeky smiles there by Cameron's side, having known he's made himself in the position of top 8 right now and could still go further.
Yeah, no, really can. Congratulations to Cameron. I do want to say commiserations there to Pedro. You know, tried his absolute best, navigated some very awkward resources to deal with there, but I think that's just a very hard matchup on paper. And let's see how this game did pan out with our replay, because quite honestly, it was one to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 1 here, remember, with the clever start, we started swinging away with that end Zoroark so early. Virtuous Flame dealing plenty amounts of damage, but Pedro wasn't really able to set up the board. All of those Drat Cloaks and any sort of Pokemon that were being set up originally, boss's orders, targeted down. Darumaka was targeted down. Pretty key decision there not to deal damage into an end Zoroark from that Charizard. But just by being able to announce back to back to back to back Virtuous Flames sort of sent Cameron in a fantastic spot, eventually hitting those key resources like the ends PB up and then that powerful Rage to take the massive knockout for game 1.
And this is where just life was so awkward there for Pedro. Was able to get out to the races first in game 2 with that big burning darkness, but this is where just Cameron was just with that awkwardness of that powerful Rage, just basically saying, don't you dare attack me, that damage is coming back, and Pedro just running out of energy cards. This was a really clutch Adrenabrain mid-turn KO. Just made everything so awkward for Pedro.